Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to talk about Power Apps Code Apps, which is the most recent and exciting addition to Power Platform in the recent years. I will try to make this as a branch series on exploring Power Apps Code Apps, different use cases, different scenarios, different ways to connect to different data source or connectors which are available in Power Platform from our code apps. Today's video is all about setting the foundation. We are going to build a simplest possible code apps, which is a Hello World app, just to understand how this new experience works behind the scene, how the project structure is, what kind of files gets created, what are the different prerequisites, setting up the development environment, etc. Before we jump into that, let us also understand why code apps are right and what kind of problem they are going to solve. So if we look back, Power Apps has been amazing for the low code and rapid development, and the popularity of the Power Apps has grown through, and so many solution has been built in recent years, wherein we would be able to create Canvas app, we would be able to create model driven app, we would be able to create Power Pages, etc. But many times what we have seen is that customer wanted to build something very complex, where when the solution grows very large, the UI needs to be more complex, and that is where there are some limitation wherein we have to live with what the Power Apps basically gives us. One of the limitation which I can personally think of is making the Power Apps responsive. Yes, there are ways to do and make the Power Apps work with the containers and everything in the mobile apps and the desktop app, which is usable, but still there are certain scenarios wherein the containers also doesn't give us that kind of capability to make it responsive, right? So when we think about it, there are also certain scenarios wherein we need more control over the Power Apps controls which are available. Can we use modern web frameworks? Can we get full control of the UI elements which are available? And finally, now we have answer to that, which is Power Apps Code Apps, which is basically introduced to give pro code developers or professional developers a code first experience right within Power Platform, where we will to use the modern frameworks, which is React, Angular, Vue, and also we can do it using the old way of creating HTML, CSS, and standard web-based patterns, etc. So what we will do in this first video, first we'll try to understand the prerequisite and setting up the development environment. Then we will see how we can scaffold our first code project. We will understand the folder structure. We will modify some code within the scaffolder project. Then we will run the app locally, and then we will also see a way to push it to the Power Apps environment. So yes, this is a basic video, foundational video. We are not going to make any data connections, no API calls, just the pure fundamentals. And when these basics are clear, we'll also see in the upcoming videos how we would be able to add different data integration with SharePoint, Dataverse, and different connectors available. All right, so let's get started. So first, let us see the documentation which is available from Microsoft, right? So when you search for Power Apps Code Apps Overview, you will be taken to this link, which is the code overview, and here you can see explanation about prerequisite, how you can enable Power Platform environment, and then what are the limitations, etc. Right? And that is where we are going to get started. So I will try to follow the same documentation, but there are certain steps which we would have to additionally do when trying to make it work with your Visual Studio Code and etc., which we are going to also cover. Now let's start with the prerequisites. So if you see here, what do you need is you need a Visual Studio Code, you need a Node.js version. Uh, if you wanted to kind of add the data source, then you need a Node.js version which is more than 22. So make sure that you have a latest version of Node.js. You of course need Git, and then you need Power Apps CLI to be installed. The second important thing to understand is to enable the code apps on the Power Platform environment, right? So let us go through how we can do that. So when you go to a Power Platform Admin Center, you basically select a particular environment on which you are going to do it. In this case, let's do it on the binary roots default account. Click on the environment, click on settings, and within product you have to click on features. When you scroll little bit down, this is where you have to make sure that you have to enable Power Apps Code Apps, which is in the preview version. You click on save. Okay, so I do not have a required permission to enable this, which is fine. I will use a different environment also, and to try it in the local environment, until you have to publish the app into that environment, you don't need these settings to be enabled. Without that also, we would be able to test it from the local, which is basically what we are going to try today. Okay, going back to the documentation. So this is done. Here you have a way of telling what how to enable this, which we have already seen. Now the next thing is to quick start creating your first code app preview. So this is basically giving you an option where you can clone the existing GitHub repo which is available, which is hello world, and then basically make able to run it. Okay, rather than that, what we are going to do is we are going to create it from the scratch so that we understand what is needed and what is required. Here again you can see there are prerequisite. This we have already done. I already have a Visual Studio Code. I have a Node.js installed, and I also have Power Platform tools for Visual Studio Code. Let me also show you how you can install Power Platform tools for Visual Studio Code if at all you don't have in your environment. Okay, so I have opened my Visual Studio Code, and in here you can see one thing which I have installed called Power Platform, right? So this is required. So if you don't have this, what you can do is you can go to extension, and here you can search for Power Platform. And this is what you have to install. Power Platform tools. You can install the latest version, and which is going to also install the tools. Also it is going to install the Power Platform CLI, which is needed to basically scaffold the project and everything. So make sure that this is installed. Next thing is, let us check what node version is available. So I'm going to click on terminal, and I said new terminal, and I'm just going to say node -v, and you see here I have node version installed, which is 22. So your node version has to be more than 20. So I'm not going to cover how to install node because that is a different topic, but just make sure that installing node is compulsory or mandatory for us to create the code apps. Okay, so now let's do one thing. Let's go to a particular path. So I'll just go to so I'm creating a new directory. I'm going to go inside the directory, and then we are going to use this command, so which is npm create white latest app from scratch, and the template is react.ts. Okay, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to change the name of the app. I don't want to call it as app from scratch, so I'm going to just say demo hello world code apps, right? And let's just enter. So what this is going to do is this is going to scaffold the project for us into the directory demo hyphen first app. It will take some time because it's going to create the project, it's going to install all the npm modules, etc. Okay, I am getting some error, so let's cancel the operation and let's try again with hello world code app. But I don't know whether it is the long name or what, but let's see. Yeah, so oh, it is asking us. Yes, so then you have to say the package name, which should be hello world code app 1. Yes. Do you want the experimental one or nay? You can choose yes, which is I can choose no. Do you want to install the npm and start now? Let's say yes, because then only it's going to install all the dependency on the npm. Okay, so this is going to take you through basically step-by-step process of selecting different options available while creating a first project based on white. It will take some time now to scaffold the project, and once it is done, we would be able to see that okay, it has generated and it has done. So you press Ctrl C so that the project has been completed. Right now on the left hand side, what you have to do is you have to open the folder. So I'll just say open the folder. I'll go to my path, samples, Power Apps code, and demo first app, hello world app, and I'll just select the folder so that now the project has been opened. Okay. Yes, I would say I trust the authors and I don't want to do anything else. Okay. So now you see here, a project has been scaffolded. Okay. At this point, please understand this is a pure React application created using White and nothing related to Power Platform. Okay. Now, how we are going to enable the things which is required to run it as a Power Apps code apps is the next step which we are going to do. But until now, whatever we did, it is a simple React based application. Because it's a web based application, you would see similar project structure. You would have node modules where all the node modules will be installed. You would have a public, then you have an src folder where you have a default app.tsx file, some asset files, main.tsx files, and then the index.css, etc. Right? So this is a typical white based React application which is created. Now let's get back to the documentation, and this is where we would be able to see what we need to do. Okay, first and foremost thing is we need to install the type definition, which is actually very good for us to understand the code. So I'm going to just go here, go to the terminal, and I'm going to install this. Okay, I'll just close the GitHub. Okay, so this is installed. Nice. Next, what it says is that with this there would be a white.config file where we need to update it to this one, right? So if we come here, we see white.config file, which is a plain file, and where it just says the plugin React is being used as a default configuration. So this is the white configuration. Now what we need to do is we need to basically add here this code so that we wanted to run the React application in our local host on the port number 3000. Okay, so you just come here and you just replace it and you save it. That's it. Then let's go back again here. Now it says you can run the file. Okay, so now again what we are going to do is we are going to run an application, white application, which we can test it on local host. Okay, still we have not done anything related to Power Platform or code apps or anything, right? So once this is done, you come here, go to local host. So this is like typically any web application development which we are going to do, and you go to local host. If everything goes well, we would be able to see the React application loaded. Yeah, it is loaded. So you see here, this is the React application. Now how do you know? When you come to the application, you go to your app.tsx file. This is where there is a white logo, this is where the count is, and this is where the file is. Okay, so if you want to test something, you can just go ahead and test. Let me say demo from YouTube channel. Let me just save it. It's going to do a hot reload. So as soon as it is done, when you go back to the application, it's going to automatically change it. Okay, so now this doing this will basically will make sure that we have our local dev environment set up specifically for running a white based React application. Okay, now let's see how we wanted to do it to make it more Power Platform based application. So if you have a Mac, you just need to make sure this is what it is to be done. You come here and then you say authenticate Power Platform CLI with your tenant, right? Okay, so this is basically the authentication part. So I'll go here and I'll kill this, I'll clear it. Okay, and then you run this pec auth create. Now what this is going to do is this is going to basically create an auth configuration file which is going to connect to our Microsoft 365 or Power Platform environment. So this account has to be an account which should have a privilege to basically do the required operation. So it is going to ask us it's going to open the pop-up. It's going to make sure that you sign in with the account. I'm going to use this account. I'm going to put the password and approve the authentication. Okay, here it says you authenticated successfully. By default it is connected to binary's default environment. and this is the environment. So if you wanted to change the environment, there's a command to change and connect to a different environment. That is also possible, but let's keep this environment for now. So it means that you are able to authenticate your Microsoft 365 account and able to connect to the Power Platform environment, in this case which is binary roots default. Okay, so this is where I was talking about. If you wanted to connect to a different environment, you can do that. Now, what this command does, it's basically select an environment and URL of the environment. How do you get an URL of the environment, which is what I'm going to show you. So if you go to any Power Platform environment wherein you wanted to go to the web URL, make sure that you are in the default or targeted environment. Click on settings icon, click on session details, and this is the instance URL which you need to copy. So this is the URL which is basically the URL of the environment you wanted to select. As I said, for now we are going to run it in the binary roots account, binary roots environment itself. So we are going to keep exactly the same. Okay, so now it says we need to init the code, okay, which is basically initialization of the code, and here you have to select the app name also, right? So I'm going to come here. I don't want to use app from scratch. I wanted to say hello world demo 1, and I'm going to enter it. Okay, so what this is going to do is this is going to create some required files, and if you see here, it has created a power.config.json file, which is very important. We are going to understand why this file is required, and it is going to put all the configuration which we can connect it with this. So if you come here, what it has done is it has created an display name. It has put the environment, this thing, and then it has created the local host and the connection references and database references, etc., which is going to come later. But this file is the important file for us to understand that all the configurations are going to go here. Okay, next step is we are going to install the uh, Power Apps SDK. So we will come here and just install this, not this one, sorry. I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste it here. We are installing the Power Apps SDK so that we can use all the SDK or the objects, the classes and objects and attributes which are available to make this React based application which would work in the Power Apps. Okay, and there are some code changes which would be required to make sure that whenever the app.tsx file, which is the main file which gets loaded, has all the Power Platform related objects available for us to use. Okay, so this is installed. Fine. Now next step here is uh, it says we need to, okay, it says in the package.json we need to change this so that before running the white command we first have to run this. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, I'm going to come here, go to our package.json file, and where you see just white in the dev environment, we'll paste it here so that it first run this command and then the white command. Okay, next step is to create one file, which is important because this is where the initialization of the Power Apps based objects and library would be there. So you come here and you copy this code. We come to our code. Within the source, we are going to create a new file. Name should be Power Provider tsx and paste it here and save it. Okay, let me see if I have, yeah, I have selected the correct file name. So once this is done, then what we need to do is we need to basically make changes to our main.tsx file so that the power provider file which we have created recently is basically also gets loaded. So if I'll come here and save this file and go to main.tsx where you are just loading the app. So we are basically wrapping the power provider component file within the app file so that it makes sense for us to basically directly use the Power Apps based project. Okay, you also need an import because otherwise it will not be able to find the component file. So yeah, this is done. Next thing is to run it, right? So let's just run it now. Now there would be a difference in which the way we are running it, right? So I'm just going to say clear and I'm going to run it. And once you run this, what it will do is it will first run the pack CLI command to basically also run the Power Apps based app. The code would be run, and make sure that this window gets open, okay, because this is the window which is going to basically kind of connect, run the Vite or React based local application, and also give you a test URL of the application which is going to run under your Power Apps, as in which is running under Power Apps. So it is taking some time, let's see, but it should give you the URL of temporary an app being created, which we can basically test it from our local machine. Yes. So you see here, it has given us a temporary URL with some query string parameters, which we are going to copy. So you copy from here till this, you go to a new window and paste it here. So now what are you going to get is you are going to get the similar experience as if you are creating a Power Apps, but within that app, your local React based application is running. Okay. So you see here you have a Power Apps based application which is running from your local machine as if you are basically running a Power Apps app. Sorry, yeah, it's going to give you that experience now. Now, if you are familiar with the Power Apps, you would already know this is how normally any Power Apps based application would load. And you have a Power Apps ribbon on the top, and then your application here, right? Now, if you want to make any change to this, what you would do is you would go to app. You will come here, Vite plus React Deno from YouTube channel, running inside a Power Apps. Let me just make simple changes. I'm going to save this, and it's going to do a hot reload. And when we come here, ideally it should rerun it, and here you can see that the latest changes are there which has been done, and it is still the same Power Apps based UI which you have created, but with your code or React based application. Now, because this is a React based application, anything is possible. You can do anything you wanted with this. Okay, so now just consider this as an application which basically is a React based application where you have your component files, you have main files and everything, but you also have your Power Apps SDKs available, and you would be able to make changes to this React component as if you are creating a single page application within your Power App screen, and everything should work as it is. Okay, so we will see some more advanced scenario in later in this video series to consider that how we would be able to create a fully fledged React based Power Apps code based application. Okay, so that's it. We just created our first Power App code apps, a simple hello world running inside Power Platform using HTML, TypeScript, and Power Apps SDK. Uh, this may look very basic, but the foundation is exactly what we were looking to cover today, so that in the next video we would be able to cover how we can connect with different data services or the connectors which are available. So if you found this video useful, hit the like, subscribe, and share with your community. And in the next video, we are going to cover and go too much deep into different use cases available with Power Apps, Code Apps. Thank you for watching. Happy building with Power Apps, Code Apps.